Hi, and welcome to Module 4. This one's about fallacies. To begin with, a fallacy is, basically this is more specifically about informal logical fallacies. Formal logical fallacies are essentially dealing with the form of the argument, and so they're basically really technical arguments called denying the antecedent, affirming the consequent. They're sort of technical argument types. But informal logical fallacies are really more about inductive arguments and the fallacies that people sometimes introduce into them. Where these are arguments that have probability of being right, these fallacies essentially are basically not necessarily. There's nothing formally wrong with them. They're just simply introducing usually irrelevant, or they're making presumptions, or they're being ambiguous. And so there's different categories or types, but those, usually they're doing it in one of those main three categories of ways. Now, to begin with, the word fallacy comes from a Latin word fallo, which is Latin for to deceive or dupe, and essentially they're ways of trying to deceive or dupe people in their arguments. You're deceiving them or duping them by introducing either irrelevant information, ambiguity, other ways of doing it, and so they are basically bad argument types in that they are deceiving or duping. Now, it should be said that, if you are arguing with somebody, fallacies are actually a great way to win your point. Usually you can get people to relent based upon the fact that you're attacking the person, or you're really appealing to their emotions. Oh, think of this poor person, think about all the situation, etc., etc., etc. And, a lot of times you can get your way that way. Now, it doesn't mean you're right. It doesn't mean that that's a good argument. Because just because you've had some tragedy in your life doesn't mean that, that means you shouldn't have to pay your bills, or it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have to do your homework or anything else. And so, yeah, they're a way to get your point, or to get what you want, but they're not necessarily good argument forms. Now, the thing I like fallacies. I like finding them. I don't necessarily use them. I like to point them out when people use them. I find them a lot of fun to look for. If I'm reading the newspaper or Letters to the Editor in particular, and I see these, I'll go, oh, there's a fallacy. I was just thinking, you can read Facebook posts or comments on posts and find them there quite prevalent, people using these types of things. I was actually thinking about that as a great source for our final project. You could find a lot of these on there. And they're a lot of fun to find and look up and point out. But I always do caution people, don't be too apt to point these out, because nobody really likes people pointing out their fallacies and their errors in reasoning. And so try not to be too gung-ho about finding fallacies in other people, because it'll make you not have any friends. So they are fun, but I would warn, you begin to see these because you learn about it, and then there's a little bit of a sort of a sophomoric, in the technical term of, a learned fool who then uses that knowledge and applies it, and that can become problematic as you try to apply these lessons, and perhaps with negative consequences. Finally, I wanted to make one last note before I send you on your way. This information is information that is very important for the final project. The final project requires you to use fallacies, or to find fallacies, examples of them. And so that's why this used to be towards the end of the course, and I actually moved it up in order that you would get this information. This is a very important lesson, and it will help you with the final project. As you prepare, you should keep a note on these and try to find them. And when you find examples in your life, on Facebook and Letters to the Editor, wherever it be, save them, because they will be perfect for your final project. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.